So I'm going to start by telling you about an email that I saw in my inbox recently. Now, I have a pretty unusual inbox because I'm a therapist and I write an advice column called Dear Therapist. So you can imagine, right, what's in there? I mean, I've read thousands of very personal letters from strangers all over the world. And these letters range from heartbreak and loss to spats with parents or siblings. I keep them in a folder on my laptop, and I've named it The Problems of Living. So I get this email, I get lots of emails just like this, and I want to bring you into my world for a second and read you one of these letters. And here's how it goes. Dear Therapist, I've been married for 10 years and things were good until a couple of years ago. That's when my husband stopped wanting to have sex as much, and now we barely have sex at all. I'm sure you guys were not expecting this. Well, last night I discovered that for the past few months, he's been secretly having long, late-night phone calls with a woman at his office. I Googled her, and she's gorgeous. I can't believe this is happening. My father had an affair with a coworker when I was young, and it broke our family apart. Needless to say, I'm devastated. If I stay in this marriage, I'll never be able to trust my husband again, but I don't want to put our kids through a divorce, a stepmom situation, etc. What should I do? Well, what do you think she should do? If you got this letter, you might be thinking about how painful infidelity is, or maybe about how especially painful it is here because of her experience growing up with her father. And like me, you'd probably have some empathy for this woman, and you might even have some, how should I put this nicely? Let's just call them not so positive feelings for her husband. Now, those are the kinds of things that go through my mind too when I'm reading these letters in my inbox. But I have to be really careful when I respond to these letters because I know that every letter I get is actually just a story written by a specific author. And that another version of this story also exists.
Hold the phone, Danny Glover, not Tyrone. I hear everything they saying, but what's really going on? God bless me with the strength, that was just to carry on. They might win the first lap, but it's a marathon. This life is like a rose, don't get poked by the thorns. I was thumbing through the pages, then I realized they was torn. Now I'm singing Usher songs, got it bad, let it burn. I done seen some dark days, but the lessons that I learned turned me into the GOAT. Now I got them all concerned. They say, time, where you been? At the point of no return. What would you do if this world was yours? I believe in myself, then everything flourished. I was constantly doubted, what would this game be without me? If we don't get it together, then the outcome is so tragic. On this mic, I'm Stephen Curry. Some might say I'm automatic. Little engine that good, but my heart is so gigantic. Let's go.
It always does. And I know this because if I've learned anything as a therapist, it's that we are all unreliable narrators of our own lives. I am. You are.
I was constantly doubted, what would this game be without me? If we don't get it together, then the outcome is so tragic. On this mic, I'm Stephen Curry. Each verse is automatic. Little engine that good, but my heart is so gigantic. Let's go.
Look, I don't mean that we purposely mislead. Most of what people tell me is absolutely true, just from their current points of view. Depending on what they emphasize or minimize, what they leave in, what they leave out, what they see and what they want me to see, they tell their stories in a particular way. The psychologist Tyrone described this beautifully. He said, to tell a story is inescapably to take a moral stance. All of us walk around with stories about our lives. Why choices were made, why things went wrong, why we treated someone a certain way, because obviously they deserved it, why someone treated us a certain way, even though obviously we didn't.
The one that laughed last, man, they always last the loudest. When my granddad birthday passed, man, I made him the proudest. Family is everything, couldn't make it through without him. With God on my side, feel like I can move mountains. They took everything from me, but I still have the passion to get better, man. I gave my all at practice to make it here, nothing less than miraculous. Only things that guarantee you live, dying, paying taxes didn't have what it took but I work well with fractions. Perseverance I possess, using as an example. It was a long walk, but we made it through the pasture. Make a left at the light, or we headed to disaster. Let's go. Movie road, man, this life so action-packed. You get to the crossroads, where you going after that? Don't look at the cause or care about the effect. When time hit the beat, guaranteed to come correct. Let's go.
Stories are the way we make sense of our lives. But what happens when the stories we tell are misleading or incomplete or just wrong? Well, instead of providing clarity, these stories keep us stuck.
Movie road, man, this life so action-packed. You get to the crossroads, where you going after that? Don't look at the cause or care about the effect. When time hit the beat, guaranteed to come correct. Let's go.
We assume that our circumstances shape our stories. But what I've found time and again in my work is that the exact opposite happens. The way we narrate our lives shapes what they become. That's the danger of our stories, because they can really mess us up, but it's also their power. Because what it means is that if we can change our stories, then we can change our lives. And today, I want to show you how. Now, I told you I'm a therapist, and I really am. I'm not being an unreliable narrator. But if I'm, let's say, on an airplane and someone asks what I do, I usually say I'm an editor. And I say that partly because if I say I'm a therapist, I always get some awkward response like, "Oh, a therapist. Are you going to psychoanalyze me?" And I'm thinking, A, no, and B, why would I do that here? If I said I was a gynecologist, would you ask if I were about to give you a pelvic exam? But the main reason I say I'm an editor is because it's true. Now, it's the job of all therapists to help people edit. But what's interesting about my specific role as Dear Therapist is that when I edit, I'm not just editing for one person. I'm trying to teach a whole group of readers how to edit using one letter each week as the example. So I'm thinking about things like, what material is extraneous? Is the protagonist moving forward, or is the protagonist going in circles? Are the supporting characters important, or are they a distraction? Do the plot points reveal a theme? And what I've noticed is that most people's stories tend to circle around two key themes. The first is freedom, and the second is change. And when I edit, those are the themes that I start with. So let's take a look at freedom for a second. Our stories about freedom go like this. We believe, in general, that we have an enormous amount of freedom, except when it comes to the problem at hand, in which case suddenly we feel like we have none. Many of our stories are about feeling trapped, right? We feel imprisoned by our families, our jobs, our relationships, our pasts. Sometimes we even imprison ourselves with a narrative of self-flagellation. I know you guys all know these stories. The everyone's life is better than mine story, courtesy of social media. The I'm an imposter story. The I'm unlovable story. The nothing will ever work out for me story. The when I say, "Hey Siri," and she doesn't answer, that means she hates me story. I see you. See, I'm not the only one. The woman who wrote me that letter, she also feels trapped. If she stays with her husband, she'll never trust him again, but if she leaves, her children will suffer. Now, there's a cartoon that I think is a perfect example of what's really going on in these stories.
Situations getting hairy, but I'm not volunteering. Stuck between a hard place and the rocks that keep on pressing. What is one to do? Things will change up in the instance. That's crazy work. Everybody have a preference when you walking through the storm. It get hard to see the lesson. Always call on God. He will give you the protection. We make choices on our own, but we lack in His direction. So much going on, so many distractions. Where I flip on the beat, gold medal for gymnastics. I'm from the South, you can tell by my accent. They change the world, no better time than the present. Life is like a box of chocolates, that's what make it interesting. Let's go. Life boils down to the choices that we made. I'm the hottest rapper out, some might say that off the gate. Some things take a little time, but you must accept the fate. Everything these lies seen, that was just to make me great. Let's go.
The cartoon shows a prisoner shaking the bars, desperately trying to get out. But on the right and the left, it's open. No bars. The prisoner isn't in jail. That's most of us.
Life boils down to the choices that we make. I'm the hottest rapper out, some might say that off the gate. Some things take a little time, but you must accept the fate. Everything these eyes seen, that was just to make me great. Let's go.
We feel feel completely trapped, stuck in our emotional jail cells. But we don't walk around the bars to freedom because we know there's a catch. Freedom comes with responsibility. And if we take responsibility for our role in the story, we might just have to change. And that's the other common theme that I see in our stories, change. Those stories sound like this. A person says, I want to change. But what they really mean is, I want another character in the story to change. Therapists describe this dilemma as, if the queen had balls, she'd be the king. I mean, it makes no sense, right? Why wouldn't we want
We in this boat together, might as well share a paddle. I don't know about you, God bless me with the power. Believe in yourself, that's already half the battle. We play hard, but we really so fragile. It's saying at the beach, so I'm trying to build a castle. You trying to play the game, got me bent up like a pretzel. You think it just started, it's been going on forever. They can say what they want, but my verses are so clever. I'm trying to plant a seed, need a rake and a shovel. I felt like giving up, was it really worth the hassle? 99 out of 100, if we talking about potential. We started from the bottom, now we live in presidential. Let's go. The camera's rolling and it's catching every moment. The hard times come to the ones that's not deserving. You can take it out the frame, but my flow so picture perfect. This life is like a movie, but we pause for the commercials. Let's go.
Protagonist, who's the hero of the story, to change? Well, it might be because change, even really positive change, involves a surprising amount of loss. Loss of the familiar. Even if the familiar is unpleasant.
The camera's rolling and it's catching every moment. The hard times come to the ones that's not deserving. You can take it out the frame, but my flow still picture perfect. This life is like a movie, but we pause for the commercials. Let's go.
Are utterly miserable, at least we know the characters and setting and plot, right down to the recurring dialogue in this story. You never do the laundry. I did it last time. Oh yeah, when? There's something oddly comforting about knowing exactly how the story's gonna go every single time. To write a new chapter is to venture into the unknown. It's to stare at a blank page. And as any writer will tell you, there is nothing more terrifying than a blank page. But here's the thing. Once we edit our story, the next chapter becomes much easier to write. We talk so much in our culture about getting to know ourselves, but part of getting to know yourself is to unknow yourself, to let go of the one version of the story you've been telling yourself so that you can live your life and not the story that you've been telling yourself about your life. And that's how we walk around those bars. So I want to go back to the letter from the woman about the affair. She asked me what she should do. Now, I have this word taped up in my office, ultra-crepidarianism, the habit of giving advice or opinions outside of one's knowledge or competence. I use it because it reminds me that as a therapist, I can help people to sort out what they want to do, but I can't make their life choices for them. Only you can write your story, and all you need are some tools. So what I want to do is I want to edit this woman's letter together right here as a way to show how we can all revise our stories. And I want to start by asking you to think of a story that you're telling yourself right now that might not be serving you well. It might be about a circumstance you're experiencing. It might be about a person in your life. It might even be about yourself. And I want you to look at the supporting characters. Who are the people who are helping you to uphold the wrong version of this story? For instance, if the woman who wrote me that letter told her friends what happened, they would probably offer her what's called idiot compassion. Now, in idiot compassion, we go along with the story. We say, you're right, that's so unfair. When a friend tells us that he didn't get the promotion he wanted, even though we know that this has happened several times before because he doesn't really put in the effort, and he probably also steals office supplies. We say, yeah, you're right, he's a jerk, when a friend tells us that her boyfriend broke up with her, even though we know that there are certain ways she tends to behave in relationships